What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of, you know it, Home Built Workshop. Have you guys ever made a particular project and then gotten a ton of requests from other people also wanting you to make that project for them? So now you need to make a big batch of them, but you got to figure out a good, quick, repeatable, and accurate way to make a big batch of them. Does that sound interesting to you guys? Because that's exactly what I need to do in this episode. I gotta make a bunch of these peg games. Stick around, check it out. I recently made a few of these peg games just to play around the house, have a little fun, but I've had quite a few requests for more of these games, so now I need to come up with a good way to batch these out quickly, efficiently, and very repeatably. So I have over 20 years of manufacturing experience under my belt. I've spent a lot of time putting together steps and processes for manufacturing and packaging certain components, so I'm going to kind of draw on some of that knowledge as we put together the process for making these games. The first thing I want to look at overall really is the shape. How can I batch out this shape accurately and repeatably? A miter saw would work well, but I don't have a miter saw, so I need to do something on the table saw. I don't want to have to use the bandsaw to make every single cut. Plus I got to sand it after that anyway, so if I make the cut on the table saw, that's going to give me a nice smooth cut that I don't need to sand. So I already know that I need to build some sort of a jig on the table saw to allow me to cut these angles accurately and repeatably. That's kind of the key for this. Everything needs to be repeatable and accurate and quick. I don't want to have to lay out a whole bunch of lines, make a whole lot of separate cuts. I want to be able to streamline everything, make it quick and easy. So first, we need a sled for the table saw. I think this part of this scrap of plywood is going to work awesome. We don't really need this, so that's the first thing to go. I probably should have started the cut on the skinny end and went toward the wider portion. When that piece dropped off, then the saw wandered really bad. We'll just make a second pass, nice and slow, just to clean that up and make sure everything's nice and straight. Not a big deal. Now, just in case you're sitting there going, why in the world would you use a circular saw for a small cut like that? Just run that piece on the table saw, boom, you'd be done, quick, easy, and probably a little bit more accurate. You would be 100% correct thinking that, but really, my little table saw just is not big enough to work with any kind of a sheet good. Honestly, I don't really do hardly any projects using plywood or any kind of sheet material for that exact reason. I can't cut it accurately and repeatably on this table saw. It's just the occasional circular saw cut that I do just to break something down. And then from there, I can work on it as needed. But really, that's the only reason why. I just can't get it on this table saw to where it is accurate and safe. So now we need to add some runners to the bottom of our sled so that it can slide in the slots of our saw exactly the same way as a crosscut sled or a miter sled or any other kind of table saw sled. It's what we're building. I found a couple of pieces of hardwood that fit in the slots on my saw. Now my saw is definitely not standard. A standard T slot I believe is about 3/4 of an inch, so make sure to cut some that are going to fit your saw in particular. It's also important to use hardwood because you don't want them to wear out over time as you're using the jig. Then they're just going to get loose and you're going to get some slop in there, so hardwood. I'm going to add some washers down in the slot, which is going to raise up the runner just a little bit. I want it a little bit proud of the surface of the saw. I've also got another scrap of wood that fits in the groove for the rip fence that's going to help me keep everything in alignment. Now I'll just take the top of the sled and we'll drop that in place, trying to keep it in line back here with this scrap of wood. We'll just set something heavy on there for a little while, let that glue dry. Now you may notice I don't have this thing centered exactly on the saw, and actually I'm planning it that way. I want to have a little bit more space on this side of the jig because that's where the boards are going to be. So I want a little bit more support when I'm cutting longer pieces. So I tried to get this as square as I can to the saw table. Now it's probably not exactly square with the saw blade, and really that's okay. Once we start installing the fences, that's when we're going to be able to square everything to the blade That way, if this is off a little bit, it's not really a big deal. The fences is what's going to be critical, and the fences is also what we're going to start working on now while this glue's drying. I've got this scrap of elm left over from a table I made recently. I think if I cut it down and square up the pieces, it's going to make awesome material for a fence. By now the glue on the runners is dry enough that we can work with, so I'll remove the washers and I'll reinforce those glue joints using some screws. This will make sure those runners never come off. The sled is sliding really good. Now I need to work out the location of the fence. It needs to be at a 30-degree angle from the blade, not the edge of the plywood. So what I need to do is raise the blade a little bit, make a cut part way down through, then I can work out where the angle is going to be and get the fence attached. The way I'm going to lay this out is by taking this longest edge of the 30, 60, 90 triangle, and I'm going to put it against the blade in between the teeth. That way it's flat right against the blade. And now, since this is a 60-degree angle right here, now if I put the fence right up against this edge, now this fence is exactly 60 degrees off from the blade. Pretty sure I've worked out where this fence is going to work okay. I want to have enough room over here so that I get good support for wider boards, and I also want to have plenty of space here for the triangle to sit firmly on the sled once it's cut free. I don't want any chance of it flying around because it's hanging off the edge or something like that. So I think I've kind of worked out a happy medium. Now, do I know if this is the perfect location? I really don't. And that's the cool part about prototyping and developing things. This is going to be basically version 1. If it works out just like I want it to, maybe it'll stay version 1 for a while. But after I use it, I might find some things that I want to change and possibly make a version 2. Now, in my manufacturing days, we always talked about ABW, or always a better way. And I don't know yet if there's going to be a better way until I start. So I have to have a version 1 somewhere to move off of. I've got to have something to improve. So try not to overthink things. I know I personally do that myself a lot. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out if this is where I want to glue a piece, or do I want it over here? How do I want to cut this? How do I want to cut that? I'm always worried about trying to not waste a piece of wood, and sometimes you really just have to go for it. You've got to be a little bit freer, especially when prototyping something like this. I myself am 100% guilty of doing that, so I'm sure many of you also do the same thing. Try not to worry so much about overthinking things. Yes, we're going to waste wood from time to time. It's going to happen. I don't like that. I know you guys don't like that, but don't let that be a barrier to letting your mind free and thinking outside of the box. I'm sure there's going to be a better way, but like I mentioned, if we don't start somewhere, we don't know where to improve from. So try not to overthink stuff and just go for it. That's what we're going to do with this fence. We're just going for it, gluing it right there. Got to make sure I keep this triangle square against the blade. I'll trim the ends of that fence flush with a flush trim saw. And now I'll trim down a couple more pieces. One of them will end up being a reinforcement for the back of the sled, and the other one is going to be a support for the front, basically a 90-degree fence in case I need it. I'll use a machinist square to make sure the front fence is exactly 90 degrees to the blade. I don't really know at the moment if I'm going to need this fence, but I can see where it might come in handy. We'll clamp these up, and these also are going to get reinforced with screws once the glue dries. You don't really need to see that again. Now I need to trim that 90-degree fence off flush with the blade. I'll do that by slowly raising the blade and making cuts until the blade is up all the way. And that last little bit, I'll just trim with a flush saw. Now I want to install some toggle clamps, that way I can hold the pieces down so nothing flies around as I'm making the cuts. I'm just gonna eyeball where I think they need to go, drill the holes, and screw them down. So now I want to add some sort of a stop here to where I can get repeatable size. What I'd really like to do is have some sort of a T-track with maybe a flip stop or something like that. But first, I need to make sure this is gonna work okay. I think we're just gonna drill a few holes where they need to be. We can just use the pegs, coincidentally, to act as our stop while we're making the cuts. But first, I just need to do a few test cuts as is, just on some scrap, just to determine how this is gonna work and where we want to locate our stops. Now, what I'm finding already is I probably should have done very similar to my picture frame kind of miter sled and done 2 angles. That way I could make the cut, turn the piece the other way and make the opposite cut. That probably would have worked a little bit better, but it's okay. I'm gonna work out the process this way, and if I find later on down the road I should have changed it, we'll just build a new jig. Not really that big of a deal. I'm trying not to overthink things. That's spot on. That's it right there. Apparently I didn't record the drilling of the holes for these pegs, but really I just transferred my marks from the scrap pieces at the measurements that I think I need. Drilled a couple holes. Now we can insert the pegs as we are making the cuts, and they will act as stops along the way. I'll just insert the peg where I need them as I'm working. I can mix and match, change them around based on whatever cut that I'm working on. So where we are with the jig right now is we can cut the shape accurately and repeatably, but we still have all of these holes we need to lay out just as accurately and hopefully just as quick. I've got a copy here of a triangle with 7 pegs across. I don't know if I would ever make one this big, but I do want to have the option to make some different sizes, and I think, at least for this version 1, I know exactly how I want to do this. So I think this portion of the jig over here is really unused right now, but I think we can utilize that for laying out these holes. I've cut a piece of wood that I can glue in right here, and that'll act as a fence, which will allow me to index the triangle on 2 sides. I have room down here for it to expand if I'm using different sides. And then maybe we'll cut this piece of plexiglass down. We can drill all the holes in that and use that as we're center punching all the hole locations. So all I need to do now is really put all that stuff together, and we'll try it out. While that glue is drying and my camera is slightly out of focus, I'm going to cut down this piece of piano hinge to fit that block that we just glued in. Now I'll just use a marker to mark the locations where I need to drill the holes to mount the plexiglass. Now to secure the hinge to the top of the plexiglass, I can't use long screws because I can't let it stick down past the thickness of the plexi. So in order for the screws to hold well, I'm going to tap them with a 632 tap. That way I can use some machine screws to attach the hinge to the plexiglass. And for the screws that mount the hinge to the wood, I can just drill those like normal and use some wood screws to attach it. Now that I know exactly where this piece is going to live, I can trim it down to match the profile of the jig. Coincidentally, I'm using the jig to make part of the jig. I'll use the bell grinder to smooth out the corners and make sure they're not so sharp. I believe now we are at the very last step, where I need to transfer all of these hole locations onto this piece of acrylic. This is the step that I've kind of been trying to think through again and again, trying to figure out the best way to transfer those locations, and really I think the best bet is, since this is clear, just to lay it in place, make sure everything's lined up as best I can get it, tape it down, and we'll transfer the marks. Get ready for the epic montage of center punching. And now I've removed the piece of plexiglass from the jig, and at the drill press, I'm going to drill all of those holes just big enough to fit my center punch through. These holes will act as a guide once I have the piece cut and help me make sure I punch them in the right spot. As soon as I have all of the holes drilled, I'll just reinstall this guide back on the jig. The last one. There it is, guys. Version 1 is ready to be put to use. I was going to say version 1 is complete, but I really don't think it's complete. I think there's still a few things that I'm going to end up doing as I use this a few times. But let's try this thing out. Let's walk through the process and kind of see how this is going to work out. First, I need to rip my pieces down to width. For this test, I'm just using plywood. And now we can drop the sled in place and raise our blade the thickness of our workpiece. Now with the piece clamped down along the fence, we can make our first cut. We'll flip it over, insert one of the golf tees as a stop, clamp it down again, and make our second cut, which will give us a triangle. Then we can just continue flipping the piece and making more cuts until we run out of material. And now it only takes just a few seconds to center punch the holes. Ready to go to the drill press. So I hope you guys found this maybe a little bit interesting, kind of a walk through my process of creating a jig to do one specific task. Now, keeping in mind that there are 100 different ways that you could do something like this, let me know down in the comments what you would have done differently or what you would have done the same. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your feedback. And just in case the question does come up, why did I make this part of the jig and not something separate? Well, originally I was thinking of making this little portion like a separate little jig, but really when I got to thinking about it, I'm the only one that's going to be doing these, so there's no reason I can't make the cut, mark them out, and then go over to the drill press. I don't want to have to take the piece from here, put it into another jig, and then take it to the drill press. I'm just trying to consolidate and get everything done as much as I can anyways with one step without having to really leave the position at the saw. Trying to be efficient with my movements and get it all done here, and then the only place from here I need to go is to the drill press to drill the holes. Now, if you had other people that could be helping with something like this, then you could totally make this a separate jig, pass this off to a next step or another operation, something like that. There's a lot of different ways that you could approach something like this. But like I said, this is version 1. There's bound to be a version 2, version 3, modifications to this. Who knows where it's going to go, but you've got to have a baseline someplace to start. So you got to have a version 1 in order to make improvements for version 2, 3, 4, etc. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. Now we need some junk to stack on there. That's heavy. Good grief. Never drop that on your foot. You wouldn't have a foot left. Ouch. I'm sitting on a block of wood. I just cut one perfectly and I didn't have record pressed. Yeah.